That's all right. But this is for...
CBS Wire.
Yeah, but is it like for the online page, or do you have a magazine?
We only have online.
The online.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just...
Perfect. Let's
Alright.
pay in here. Good light.
Take a picture.
It's like, it's like a... No.
I'll also need a picture of you guys after the interview.
Oh.
Girls, sorry.
Very important.
Yeah.
Should have known.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's okay. We'll
It's
do
fine. I'm not wearing
Photoshop.
any makeup.
No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
Just
Photoshop
Photoshop it.
some makeup on. Oh wait, sorry, I have to take this really, really quickly.
Okay, no worries.
Hello? Hello?
Alright, actually, I guess we can start.
Yeah, that's
Just
fine.
with the...
Because I have people working on an apartment right now, so
Oh,
they might
nice.
call, but he didn't say anything.
Okay, so... why did you girls found this initiative? Like, why did you guys start it in the first place?
I think we mainly identified that there was not so much as a need as kind of an interest for technology that was growing, and especially amongst girls as well. And we really just wanted to create an opportunity where girls could come and hear about different technologies and different IT-related careers in a way, and just make sure that there was that availability here at CBS as well. And there's tons of other programs or other societies around, especially in Sweden and some in Norway as well. But at CBS, we couldn't really identify any specifically that was just, in the broader technology sense. So there was that gap.
Yeah, in general, there are less women in technology fields, both leaders and programmers and so on. So we really want to promote that for women, that they can know that it's possible to have work in this field as a woman. And even in our study program, so we're at e-business, I think 40% girls,
Yeah.
around 40% girls, and we also had programming in our first semester. And you kind of realize that it's actually possible.
Yeah.
And so we want to create this opportunity not only for our program, but for other people at other study programs to join this kind of community.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also for companies that are very male dominated, I think it's a good thing for everyone, boys and girls, that there's a bit of a mix. So that's something that we wanted to promote as well.
And I think actually, sometimes it's all about equality and women can do the same things as men, but I also think there are differences between men and women. But the things women can contribute with, even in technology, I think they can contribute with other things than men can, and might think in other ways as well. So I think it's a really good, it's good for the technology field if there are more women.
Actually, that's going to be a question that I have for later, because that's really interesting.
You can just...
Yeah.
Okay, but is there kind of any story behind how it all started, or was it just...
No, so Women Tech Makers is actually a Google funded initiative. So basically you can apply to be part of a chapter locally, and then you get a bit of branding material and stuff like that, but we're not financially funded by Google. But we can look toward that society or group of people to get some advice if we want that. And we also have our other co-founder, Katja Elkanova. I'll send you her name later. She's just a very driven German person who gets everything done. So she was a major driving force when we started it as well.
So I think she knew about the one in Berlin, I think.
Yes, in Germany.
And then she saw that coming here to Copenhagen, that there was no initiative like this.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a great opportunity to start this here, but also make it a student organization, so it's part of CBS as well.
So this chapter is also tied to Google officially?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's correct.
So you've already answered this question, but I just want to maybe get a little bit more in-depth answer to it. So why do you think it's important to promote more women in tech?
Well, we actually believe that by having more women in tech, we'll have a more innovative field, and that's the basics of why we believe that girls should choose careers. But it's also in the sense of empowering women to choose careers super broadly and not be defined by more traditional routes. So both in the sense of innovation within technology, but also for the good of making sure that girls make choices they otherwise wouldn't maybe have considered. Better. For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think if you look in the field of technology, which is very male-driven, of course tech in general is very innovative. But if you want to differentiate yourself as a firm from the other firms, maybe you should consider even having more women in there, because then you can think in other directions that the others might not think in. Both can still be innovative, but maybe two innovations are more alike if they only have men in there, and the other will be differentiate itself from the other innovations.
Okay.
And I just have this one example. For example, a lot of girls, are into healthcare and all of that, and there's, if you look at, for example, the ratio of women and men, and say people who choose to be nurses, if some of those girls could maybe divert that interest into something that's technology related, and make sure that there's an innovation in healthcare technologies that could help probably more people than you would as a nurse, that would be super cool as well.
Yeah, and there's also this kind of phenomenon called femtech. So that's female technology, and it's really about health, and a lot of female entrepreneurs actually started these apps where you can track, let's say you're pregnant or you want to become pregnant, and you have to figure out when you're ovulating and all these things, and then this whole app can track it for you, and you'll know when it's possible for you to get children, or even with your menstruational periods and so on. So of course it would maybe seem a little bit weird if a guy would make this app, because how would he truly understand how it feels like being a woman, having these things happening to your body? Whereas from a female perspective, you really have the insight from your own body, and then they gather all this data from all the users, from the women, and they can kind of
And that's something that we haven't focused on it entirely, but for example, we wanted to have someone from the healthcare industry come and visit us. So we had a speaker that actually was using augmented reality when they were performing surgery. So we're really just trying to prove in a way that technology can be used in so many ways, and even if you're interested in a particular field, then I'm sure there's something tech related that you can do to contribute within the field anyway. So yeah.
So I was gonna keep this question for later, but I think it ties in so much to the direction we're going now. So how do women think differently about tech than men? And you've already kind of answered that, but maybe just a little bit more in depth on that.
I think, this is maybe a general statement, but I think men can think in very logical ways, whereas I think often women also think with, for example, empathy in the way of thinking. So maybe even having a more consumer approach to tech could have a great innovation in that way. So that could be one. Of course, it's not everyone that are like this, but I think in general you can say that, that men might think more in logical terms without thinking more outside of that box in itself.
And what about, because for me maybe another factor could be aesthetics. Do you think that also plays a role in it, or
in a design way? Or I think that could also be part of it. I mean, just on the consumer end again, how it's being perceived by the users, and what's a good user experience and all of that. I'm sure guys can do it too, but maybe some girls do have an eye for it.
Yeah, even I think women can also sometimes be maybe a little bit more detail oriented.
Yeah.
So they focus more on the small details, which of course makes the whole.
Yeah.
Whereas men are really good at the whole structure and making the basis maybe. But I think a lot of women are really good at details.
Yeah. And for us in general, it's not about putting people into boxes or letting, your gender define what your talent is or whatever. But we just believe that there are some things that women are good at and men are good at, and we should celebrate the differences and, encourage that rather than just say that we're all alike, and we should just all be approached in the same way.
Yeah, and when you know your weaknesses and your strengths, then you can even work together in that way. So you can put teams together where one is good at one thing and the other one is good at another thing. Because if you only have teams with people like-minded, you will only get one kind of product out of it.
Yeah, and that's what we try and do as a society as well. Even with our volunteers, we really don't try and make everyone do everything. We actually, very, very actively ask, what is it that you're good at and what is it that you want to do, and we just let them do that.
Yeah, and also it's not an organization only for women, so we have guys
that's
also in it. That helps us out.
Even in our volunteer group, we have a guy, so we're not about exclusion.
No, we're not.
All right. So what do you think? I looked at your events and they're all very broad, and you said that men can also be a part of this organization. So why do you think it's important to be specifically women in tech, and why can't it just be tech at CBS or something like that?
It could, but we are really trying to encourage girls choosing that path of careers, and we wanted to make sure that it's like a friendly environment to come into, and maybe less not off-putting, but intimidating for girls to join. So to create that safe space for girls to just some girls maybe feel like they don't have total control of what's going on within tech, or maybe they'll feel a bit silly asking certain questions. But if there were only girls there and we weren't all pros, then maybe that will, foster a more of a friendly environment to come and just explore. Whereas some guys, they have that interest and have had it for a long time, so they might be more experienced. So just to make sure that girls, feel welcome and feel like they can ask all kinds of questions, really.
And I think even when, like an example would be when we were doing the programming course in Java.
Yeah.
You can kind of see how the guys really ask questions and they ask for help if they don't know how to do it. But the girls really wanted to do it correctly before asking if this was correct. So it's kind of this feeling of, I think a lot of women don't like to ask for help before they've done it correctly.
There's a famous example as well where they asked an American class about how they think that they were performing. And it was like, same as other students were average or above, and 70% of the guys said that they were performing above, but less than like 30% or something of the girls said that they were. So it's, girls and guys have a different level of confidence sometimes when it comes to just exploring and just doing it, rather than, making sure that everything's perfect before you release something.
Yeah. And especially in a field like technology that might seem so far away, like another galaxy to some women. But we want to encourage them to just try to come and see if this has interest for you. Yeah. Maybe you'll actually be really good at this topic or this other topic, or you'll find this really interesting.
Yeah.
But of course it's hard to figure that out if you're not even introduced to this whole field.
And I think also the fact is that we're all moving towards, digitalization in some sort of way. And even if you think now that, technology is not a field that I would consider, it's pretty much a field that you have to consider within the next 10 years. So better to get on it now and learn while you still, can get on board and learn something before you have to, and, come to that interview and say that, I know what augmented reality is, or I know, the basics of programming. So that's something that we'd like to encourage as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, okay, can you give me an example of how you could use that knowledge that you just mentioned in the future, for example?
Yeah, let's find a good example.
Which one? Augmented?
No,
just in general?
Just the technology that you could use.
Whatever pops to your head.
Let's say, let's make it very a little bit gender specific in, let's say, shopping. Women love shopping, right? So you can.
I love shopping too.
Yeah, I think a lot of men also love shopping as well. But let's say you can use, if you know about machine learning or algorithms, you can figure out shopping behaviors online. So you'll have this machine learning online that figures out, based on your shopping behavior, other people that shop the same things as you, what kind of things you would like in the future. This will give you better recommendations if you go to this site or this other websites, for example. Or it can be even augmented reality. Let's say you're in a dressing room and you wanna try, or you're at home, you wanna try on something, but you can't move out of your bed. And you can use this technology to figure out how it would fit your body type, or how it would look like with this kind of hair. That way,
or even if you look at an example like, say, advanced analytics, that's huge right now because it says a lot about, again, customer behavior. And for example, I know that Saxo, the book company, or the, what is it called, publisher? Yeah. They use advanced analytics now to in all of their electronic books, they can know exactly where you stop, what part of the book is not that interesting, and they actually send that back to the author and they're like, oh, you have to shape this up, it wasn't interesting enough, people are quitting at this point. And they can really use advanced analytics to really map, you know, trends or behaviors or anything that can enhance their own product. And I think you can apply that to almost every single industry there is that has consumers on the other end. So that's something that's, you know, extremely applicable for the next 5 to 10 years, I'd say.
I think in general with technology, it comes to a very consumer mindset now.
Yeah.
It's all about the consumer and not about the firm anymore.
Yeah.
It's about making sure the consumer feels special and that the computer or the technology knows you.
Because there's for sure one company out there that can personalize and can meet the demands of the customer. So if you want to be competitive, you have to get on it. And I think that's something, those are skills that most companies are going to be asking for even when we graduate to some extent. Yeah.
I think for sure.
I just thought it was, so the analytics thing, I think that's kind of gender neutral, that's just my opinion, but I think the example you gave about shopping was really interesting, and I think that could be something that women maybe could add some extra value. Can you give maybe some examples of how women could add extra value to this customized shopping experience?
Well, let's say that you're the woman behind making this kind of technology, or you're in the kind of in the group of making this kind of technology. So let's say you have a guy that knows how to program the whole thing, but he's not sure of how it should look like. So if you're at home and making this virtual reality thing, how should the dressing room look like? And maybe he just makes a box and that's fine, but then the woman might say, yeah, but you have to think about there should be a mirror on each side so you can see yourself from the back as well as you see in dressing rooms. Or it could be maybe we should have each dressing room look like how it looks like in the H&M store, how it looks like in the Zara store, how it looks in this kind of store, so it feels that you're there in real life. It could also be just small details like, yeah, but maybe people should put in the body types, the height, and so on, and then you can see how it really fits instead of just on a mannequin. Because women knows that, like, we know that every body type is different, and pants in size 25 in this brand is not the same as pants 25 in the other brand. So kind of like this, yeah.
It's just experience-based.
Experience, yeah.
Yeah, knowing what to look for.
Okay. What do you foresee as kind of the most unique or the craziest technological development for the near future? And related to that, how do you think women will contribute towards it? It's a tricky question.
It's a tricky question.
You take your time and think about it if you want. Maybe I should rephrase. It's a little too complex. Maybe.
It's like, there's so many.
Do you know? Do you have any examples of like some crazy technology that a woman has developed in the
it's something we should be able to answer, right? Do you have any questions? No answers to that?
Actually, okay. Sorry for.
I'm thinking.
No, let's build it up to that point. Actually, so first I'd like to ask, do you have some women role models that you personally look up to, or that kind of represent women in tech?
Maybe we should say Carly Claus.
I was gonna say Carly Claus.
Carly Claus. Do you know who she is?
No.
Yeah. She's actually a model, but she's funded.
Victoria's Secret model.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's
And she's funded. Sorry. She's funded. What is it called again?
Girls Who Code, I think.
Yeah. I think so. So
Or
we'll have to
something
check
like
that. Yeah.
Okay, I've actually heard of them.
Yeah. And she's really just providing that opportunity for so many girls to learn the basics of coding, and all technology is based on code and math at one point. So it's just a really cool opportunity to, you know, allow people to really learn the basics, because as soon as you know that, then you can go into all kinds of new different fields. So I really like that she's founded something that, you know, just provides that opportunity.
What I like about her is also, well, I have a background in fashion, and what I like about her is she mixes, well, you can kind of see what the normal general idea is, that models don't have personality or they're stupid, right? So this woman is taking her degree at NYU. She's come up with this great organization to learn girls to code, and she taught herself how to code.
Yeah.
And she's still a Victoria's Secret model. You
Yeah.
know, like she can prove to anyone that women can do whatever they want. They can
Yeah.
still be feminine and girly, and still do very man dominated fields as well.
Yeah, I just think it's really cool that she is, you know, kind of taking away that image of, you know, technology and coding as being something that's, you know, seen as kind of nerdy, and just showing that it's really not. It's really cool to do something where you can, you know, create those kinds of things.
Yeah.
So just making it a bit more fun and upbeat in a way.
Yeah,
Do you know anybody else, maybe?
I'm thinking.
See, this is why we need our society.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you know any?
I mean, wasn't there someone in Google, or, for example, so do you know who came up with this women in tech, at the top of the pyramid, like who was the...
No, I actually don't know who exactly in
Okay.
Google founded it. No,
Okay.
no.
Alright, that's fine. That's fine.
Maybe we'll email you a better answer if we
Yeah,
come
we
up
can
with
do that
a-
as well, yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
We'll think about it.
We can also do just like a short telephone
But even
follow-up
have you
if
seen the movie? What's the movie we saw? With the
Oh, the NASA one.
the NASA the
what is
women
it
that
called?
help calculate. What was it called?
I can't remember. What's it called? I forgot it the last time as well.
So
We
that
can-
was kind of, well, we watched this movie actually in the with our volunteers in the organization. So it's about these three black women who helped launch the Apollo, what's it called, Apollo mission,
Yeah.
and they calculated the math for it, and they were kind of the human computers at that time.
Oh, it's based on a true story, by the way.
It's
It's
based
pretty
on a true
important
story.
fact.
Yeah. So that was really inspiring, I think,
Yeah.
Mhm.
to show that it's
And
not.
this was back in the day.
This was back in the
Yeah.
days, yeah.
Alright.
Right before they got a real computer
Mhm.
at
Yeah.
NASA, then they used these human computers to
Yeah.
calculate everything. And then they figure out that they didn't really, well, at one point they don't really, in the movie, they don't trust the computer 100%, so they get one of the women to come calculate for them
Mhm.
to check up on the numbers.
Mhm.
Yeah, but the one was really inspiring, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. it was. But I think actually this is one of the things that we really are trying to work on, because I'm sure there are tons of inspiring girls out there, but it's not something that comes to mind automatically, right? So
Maybe
we
that's actually the issue, right?
yeah.
There are not any.
So we want to make sure that there are, like, you know, women within technology that you can look up to. So we're actually also a part of organizing a conference which is coming up in May. And one of the things that we are doing to address that is actually, you know, having this award thing where we actually are trying to lift, you know, some women in technology up within Denmark. So we'll have, for example, you know, entrepreneur in tech of the year and those kinds of things. So maybe we'll come back after May and
Yeah.
have some more
Yeah.
names.
Yeah, but for this conference, we wanted to also in the same way promote women in tech and get more women and girls to come to this conference. And it will be like a one-day conference where there will be both talks and workshops as well.
Yeah.
If you really want to learn, let's say, UI or UX and so on. And we also, well, this is not set in stone yet, but we want to have this kind of mentorship program as well. We can get mentored with, matched with women in tech.
And where's the conference going to be? Do you have a place yet?
Not yet.
Here in
No.
Copenhagen, but
Here in
no location
Copenhagen,
yet.
yeah.
Yeah.
But we have only the date so far, the 5th of May, and we're doing it with 2 other like girls in tech organizations. So it's with Women in Tech Denmark, Wonder Coders, and Women Tech Makers, us, that are hosting it together.
So I'm going to change the direction a little bit. So why did you girls join personally? What was your reasons?
Well, mine was pretty uncomplicated actually. I just thought it was something that sounded amazing, and I really wanted to be part of organizing it, and just also having that influence on what topics that we give, promote, and also an opportunity to get to know some more people within tech, and especially women. I think those were my main reasons. Yeah.
For me, I had already experience in the tech field. Without coding myself. So I worked for some startups that were like in the tech field, and one had a female founder. So I was actually inspired to see that this was possible, and I could see how much she was celebrated for being a woman in tech. So I thought, well, why not do that here? Why not create an organization where we can help other girls and young girls to kind of have the dream of being tech.
Yeah, actually I just remembered I'll tell you after the interview,
Okay.
but there's 2 people that
Okay,
could be
great.
of interest for you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so she inspired you and you thought,
Well, not maybe this is like not to be quoted, but yeah, but she was I wouldn't say she was the best boss, but I feel inspired by seeing a woman in tech,
okay.
that it could be possible.
Yeah.
So yeah.
All right, so the events seem to be quite popular. So I just wanted to ask, why do you think it became so popular?
Well, it clearly shows that there's an interest. So yeah, we've been really happy with our events, with a great number of turnouts, and not only women.
Yeah. I think that's very important. We actually love the fact that we have about like a 70-30 mix of guys and girls, because what we believe as an organization is that whoever celebrates women taking part of that tech field and are encouraging women to choose that career are more than welcome, guy or girl. That's not something that we don't encourage. And the reason why I think it got popular is because it's also very much in the wind right now. Everyone's talking about tech and how it's going to be so important, in the next 5 years. And if you look at any of the, major management consultancy firms, that's all of their reports are saying that, blockchain, augmented reality, coding, like you have to get on it. So I think there's that general societal, awareness that technology is something that's going to be of major importance. And I think also people at school, they're pretty curious, and this is an opportunity to, kind of investigate fields that you wouldn't necessarily do later, because a lot of people, get a job. And me, for example, after my first master's degree, I just, went into finance and I did leasing for 2 years, which is like oddly specific, right? But now that you're back in school, you just want to, make sure that you see everything that's out there. So I think a lot of people are just genuinely curious about our society. And then also I think we spend quite a lot of time, speaking to people and promoting our events and just telling people it's going to be super interesting and you have to be there, and just doing marketing.
But I think even because we had quite some events that were introduction to a topic.
Yeah.
And that seems just already there with the word introduction. It feels like everyone's welcome even though you don't know anything about the topic. Of course, we would love to do more topics that are a little bit more advanced later on.
Yeah.
But it's important to get everyone with us on board from the beginning. So that's why we made quite a few introduction events in the beginning, and that's where I think there were a great turnout from like women.
Yeah.
Like a lot of women came.
And I think our society is quite unique in the fact that we also try and do a lot of workshops where people can get their hands a little bit dirty and try something. And I think there's more societies out there that are, you know, providing super interesting talks, but not that many where you can just learn the basics of Tableau, for example, which is a workshop that we did last year.
We did like a 2-day workshop.
Yeah.
With Tableau.
So the fact that people can, you know, sign up for free, we never charge anything, and they can, you know, learn a new skill, I think that's pretty unique as well. Yeah.
I think in general that's why it fits to be a student organization as well, because you're in school to learn.
Yeah.
You're taking a master's or bachelor's to learn and to become better at something.
Yeah.
So why not take this extra on the side?
Yeah. And also having the time. Being
Of course.
students.
Yeah.
Okay, I just have one more question. What are your roles in the organization?
Oh.
We don't have very defined roles in our organization. We're consisting of, you know, us on the board, which is Katja, our co-founder, who's currently in New York, me, who's also the co-founder, and Julia.
Yeah.
You're the co-founder as well, right?
Yeah.
Officially.
Officially.
And Katja used to be the president of the society last year, which is me this year, and we're co-doing it, so we're both presidents.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
But I would say, like, if we had to define a few roles,
Yes.
probably Katja is really good at mingling and talking with people.
Yeah, she's
So
like our
she's-
pipeline manager.
So she's
Sales
really
marketer.
been great at finding great speakers
Yeah.
and kind of expanding the network. So she's really,
Yeah.
really great at that.
She is.
And well, I've been taking care of a lot of the social stuff,
Yeah.
social media, and getting the volunteers on board and
Yeah.
the events. Like I've been at every event
Yeah.
thing as well.
Yeah. I'm more on the structure side, and
Yeah.
I also do quite a lot of, you know, just stakeholder management. We actually are
Yeah,
doing
that's
a
true.
partnership with Accenture and with McKinsey.
Yeah.
So that requires a little bit of attention as well, for sure. Yeah.
So even that just shows that women are very diverse,
Yeah.
and we can contribute with different
Yeah.
kind of skill sets.
Yeah.
But we work really well together. So I
For
think
sure.
that's-
I think, especially on the board, we have different skill sets for
For
sure.
sure, for sure.
And I think we're all, you know, just contributing where we're good.
Okay. Will you be continuing after you graduate, do you think? Or?
It's a good question. My parents asked me that the other day, actually. But no, I think we want to let it be a student society. I mean, I can't speak for sure, but at least in my head, the idea is that when the time comes and we graduate, we'll hand it over to another set of students, because we want the really like student focus to continue. Yeah.
And actually, one more super important question that I can't believe I forgot to ask is, what are the future goals for the organization? What is kind of the ultimate goal for the organization?
The ultimate goal of our organization is not so different from the goal that we have today. So the goal of Women Tech Makers is just to promote innovation within the field by introducing more girls to contribute. And that's how we would like to continue, I guess. Julia, if you don't
Yeah,
have
and I
any
think
additions.
that's like the overall goal, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think the goal for this semester is to at least organize events or talks, workshops, at least once a month.
Mm-hmm.
And then we really want to have this conference up and running. And we
Yes.
want this to be like a great big conference with 300 to 500 people.
No, 600 to 700 people.
Well, we don't know yet.
Well, that's the aim.
Because, yeah, we need to figure out the space first.
Yeah.
But some of the space we saw were for 300.
Okay.
So we'll see.
Yeah.
But that's kind of in the pipeline for the next few months that we'll be really, really busy with.
And I think
sure.
also, I mean, this is a field that changes so quickly. So who knows what the goal will be in 5 years? I think we just want to keep it kind of open-ended as well, and we just want to encourage whoever joins our organization, or as long as you believe that, you know, more women should go toward that field, then feel free to be creative and contribute with your ideas. I mean, we're pretty open for everything, to be honest.
But actually, the end goal would be that there wouldn't be an organization like this. It would be that, of course, women are in tech, of course, men are in tech. We don't need an organization to promote that. Because
that's true.
It's 50-50, let's say.
That's very true, yeah.
So the end goal would probably be that this wouldn't exist.
Yeah, that we would be obsolete.
Yeah.
Sweet, I love that. And can I just get your study program for the record?
Yeah, it's the
Business administration
and information systems
in e-business.
e-business.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Cool. Oh, one more. Do you have anything to add, or?
No, do you have our names and?
Yeah.
Do you have our names?
On email. I have your
Oh
names
yeah,
on
okay.
email.
Julia, Emilia.
Yeah, I have your
Yeah,
names on
good.
the emails.